You should do it.
Hi, my name is Cindy again. How was that?
No. It has to be the way you're gonna talk.
Oh.
Can't be that
Hi.
loud. Hi. This is episode 10.
Welcome to Talent Pop Podcast, where we will provide tips and strategies for success in sales, networking, marketing, and business. We will be learning from real stories that will inspire you to unlock your potential, discover your talents, and develop the confidence to take action on your biggest dreams. We are focused on empowering women to connect their passions with their purpose to find true fulfillment. It's time to pop off, queens! Pop off, queens!
Hi, this is Amanda O'Connell, your host of Talent Pop Podcast, and this is episode 10, and I have a special guest, Sydney Gagnon, with me. We have been working together for quite some time now, and I can't wait for you to hear about her journey, just into, diving into recruiting and, starting out as an intern and growing to where she is now. It's absolutely incredible. She is our Director of Client Services at Recruiter Boom, and we are here in New York City. This is our first podcast from New York City. How cool is that? We have seen so much growth. We talk about that in past episodes, of our podcast, about the growth of, Recruiter Boom, obviously, and then just, internally getting to meet, all the different team members has been really fun. But Sydney is very special to us because she has grown through from the beginning to now, opened up her own New York City office, and I just want you to kind of take it away and share your journey and ups and downs and everything in between. So Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's been a wild ride. I've been here, I'm coming up on my 4 years next month. So I joined as an intern, as you know, and just absolutely loved it and thought I was doing a marketing internship and then learned the ropes of recruiting, and I don't see myself ever doing anything else anymore.
Now crushing it.
I love it. It's so much fun.
So walk us through maybe your thought process about, because you were kind of planning on joining us, but you want to see what was out there, and then your choice to come to New York City, because I don't think we were necessarily
Nobody was expecting this at all.
So I would love to hear that.
So I was about to graduate in COVID, and I played lacrosse, and I was up against getting my master's or starting working, and I ended up getting my master's in human resource management.
And that's a Division I.
Yeah, I played Division I lacrosse, so that was fun.
Yeah, that's
I wanted to play my last year, and then I got, some extra schooling in there as well. So Will always jokes, and he says I drop a bombshell on everybody. Every year around this time, I promise I don't have anything else coming right now.
But it's not a dramatic. It's dramatic, but when you say something, you always follow through. It's not just a dramatic thing that just kind of fades off. It's something big, but then you carry it out, and you have taken this and this company to another level. Thank you. It's truly incredible. And now we're here in New York City, and obviously we're still growing, still expanding. I guess did you have fear going into what was your whole thought process? I think deciding this and.
Yeah, I think that this is one of the things that, is when I was interning, my first summer, I always thought about it. I was always okay, Will and Amanda are always talking about, we want to open offices, we want to grow this, and I was you know what, I love Boston, I could totally see myself living there, but I was, halfway through the spring, I was kind of I don't think I can leave New York, I think I need to do something big, and I think I need to just, have some fun and try my luck at this. So I remember I was talking to Will on the phone, and I was just what would you say if I said, I kind of want to go to New York? And he was just oh my God, I love that. And I was first of all, I did not expect that reaction. That was probably me, testing him, to see what he was going to say, because I hadn't even fully thought it through. So when he was, excited about it, I think that's when I was oh, wait, maybe I should do this. If I trust him and if he thinks, this is a good thing, then, you know what, maybe I should just do it.
Wow.
So I kind of just, after that was you know what, let me think about this for, a week. Yeah. Let me wrap my head around it.
Totally.
Let me pretend that it's actually going to happen and just see how I live my life for a week with this in the back of my head.
Yeah.
And then I was wow, this is it. And I called some friends that live
then
here.
Never going back.
Yeah, no, I don't think I could ever go back now. So I don't know who's phone. Oops.
I don't know who's calling
So Will.
Let's put the notifications off.
Wow.
You guys just cut that part out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Always getting phone calls, you know.
That's the life. But yeah, no, I called some friends that live here, and I was just like, what do you think I should do? And I've had friends that, lived in Boston first, and they were like, you gotta do it.
Yeah.
And then,
I feel like the timing is right, though, because, like, being young and not having, like, too many ties, and just being like, all right, I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna make something of this. I'm gonna do this. But that's super scary. I mean, you were obviously confident enough in your, I guess, where were you at recruiting wise? Like, you obviously felt confident enough, like, with recruiting that you were like, okay, I can do this elsewhere.
Yeah. I guess a little bit. I just felt like also like I wanted to like build something and stick with it. And I think, if I thought about like, oh, I'll come to Boston for a year, and this is something I talked to Will about too. I was like, oh, I'll come to Boston for a year and then I'll leave. Yeah. And it's just like, no, I'd rather like start this out and just run with it, like instead of like having it be broken or even give me a chance to like second guess it at all.
It's
like,
true.
I think I just need to do it. So
and dive right in. Yeah, and then it makes me think about your network too, because then if you start building a network, in one city, and then you're trying to build a network in another city, so it's like sometimes you have to just do the scary thing and like just draw that line in the sand and dive into it. Yeah. Like we talk about that a lot, I think, on the podcast, is like not just like kind of dipping your toe in the water, because like you just don't get very far.
Yeah, no, I definitely could have dipped, but I was like, no, let's just do it. So yeah, you kind of just have to like not think sometimes and just go for it. So, but I love it.
Just we've really expanded, I think, like our client base as well. Like. How do you go about doing that? Where do you feel like you're finding, clients? I think a lot of people would probably be curious about that.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm very much like abundance mentality. Like I just think, there's so many people out there. There's different situations that you can get yourself into. So I'm maybe of the different mindset than other recruiters, but I will talk to anybody. I'll have a conversation with literally anybody. I don't care what you do. I don't care what your background is. Like, I will talk to literally anybody, and I think that's what, like, leads me into probably, like, finding a lot of new candidates and finding a lot of new clients. Like, I will just go on sprees where I'll end up in a rabbit hole on LinkedIn, and I'll find this really cool company and just be like, you know what, I'm going to reach out. We'll see. You never know.
So you just kind of, like, let everything flow.
Yeah.
It's not, like, a structured, okay, now I'm going to do my client calls and, like...
Yeah. I think, like, the only, like, the structure, the only thing that I keep in my head is just, like, do the most. Like, do the most you possibly can, and like, good things will come back. But as for, like, a plan or anything, it's not really a plan or, like, a method. It's more so just, like, putting in the work, like, sending the messages, reaching out to people, like, having the conversations, because it's so easy to just, like, be like, oh, I don't want to pick up the phone today, or, oh, I don't want to do outreach today, but I think, like, that's the one thing that, like, you just have to remain constant, and is, like, putting the work in, doing the outreach, like,
so
having conversations, You gotta do the thing that's hard and that you don't want to do.
Yes. So. Yeah, that's so true. I think that really ties into, like, you have this whole, like, approach, like, we call it, like, the mental game or whatever that is, like, kind of, emptying the tank and, like, doing that last, like, we talked about this before, like, doing that last phone call. And, like, I feel like that's kind of what sets, like, a successful person apart, is, like, that little bit. And I guess, like, in sports, did you feel like it translates, like, you felt that way in sports as well? Like, I could see that.
Kind of. So I was never actually, like, a skilled player. I was just, like, an athletic, like, try-hard, basically. Like, I never had the best stick skills. I never had the best, foot skills or anything. Like, I think it was, like, the work that I put in, and, like, just, like, stuff, the more the intangibles. So, like, I relate that to this, like, in sports, we would always, like, at the end of practice, we would do a one more, where we would run one more 200-yard sprint at the end of the practice, like, no matter what. And it was always just, like, this mentality that you can give that, like, little bit more than any other team is doing right now. Yep. Like, there are other people out there, they're calling it quits. They're hanging up the cleats.
It's so true.
Yeah.
Most people are.
Most people are, so we would always do, like, the one more, and then we would get into, like, an overtime situation, and it would be, like, wow, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Like, that's where
and you
it
don't
came
regret
from.
that.
No, I didn't in the moment. I didn't like it in the moment, but now I see it.
Yeah.
Like, now I can translate
But looking back on it, you're like, I think that's what makes like you better. And it's really interesting approach too, saying like, oh, I am not, because people like look at successful people and they say, oh, that person's so lucky, or that person has this or that. It's like, no, you just kind of got to put in the work, and then I feel like once you put in the work, then you become good.
Yeah.
It's because you did that. And a lot of people, like, especially in our age of social media and this and that, they only see like, oh, they're partying because, you know, they're just, that's what they do, you know, and it's like, and we also did a lot of work behind the scenes, you know, so I think I love that mentality of like, I mean, it's just, everyone has a different approach, and that's what I find so interesting about you, is just like, you are just like a worker, like you just put in the reps, you do what you're supposed to do, but it works because, and it's like a tried and true method. Like, you can never go wrong.
You can't cheat it. You can't cheat the process at all.
Yeah. I relate it a lot to like working out too.
Yeah.
Like, it's like if you don't do the reps,
you can't cheat it. There's no other shortcut to get where you need to go. Like, my coach always used to say, like, right now, like, people want to live in this like microwave society where you can skip all the hard parts, you can skip all the cooking, you just put it in the microwave, but like that's not it. That's not where we are, and it's not where you're gonna find success.
And I think that's what makes you better as a person. It makes you grow. Like, it builds your character, and it makes you, I think, learn things about yourself that you never would have known, or even other people.
Yeah, it's about the journey. It's
totally. I know. This is like, I know. It's, I love that.
It's cliche, but it's true.
It's true.
You have to go through all the highs and lows to get to the end,
and it makes it all worthwhile.
It does.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, this is great. Do you have, I guess, any tips for maybe like newer recruiters or people maybe interested in recruiting that like want to give it a shot? I mean, obviously we know now that it is a lot of work, and it's kind of like, we always say this too to new folks, is like, what you put in is what you get out.
Yeah.
It's all about activity and generating momentum and not losing that momentum, and I think it's like doing those things in the hard times, like keeping the consistency, because it's a long game.
Yeah.
Like, you're building, especially like an office like this in New York City, I mean, you're building year over year over year, and hopefully like everything else will grow with that, which it will, and you're manifesting it. I mean, how much of this is like I don't know, like, do you have like manifestation things that, like, I don't know, did you think about, or do you envision like the future? Like, I
definitely have, like, I had a vision coming into it, and I think, you know, like, things happen along the way that change the vision, but I think overall, like, I just wanted to be, like, a positive addition to this company. Like, I think that, like, Boston is incredible, and they're doing such great things, and I was just, like, I think it's almost just, like, me wanting to, like, level up, and I wanted to make a whole nother, like, hub that was just as, successful as Boston. Like, I think that's, for me, I think you had the itch. Like, you knew there was something that you could do. Yeah. And some people need to branch off on their own and do that. Yeah. And so, like, we were grateful. Like, I mean, it was scary even for us. Yeah. We're like, definitely. Oh, no, well, you guys trust me a lot. We want to make sure, like, and we don't want to just, like, set you off in some giant city and be like, good luck. Like, it was fun. I got to, like, try out all the WeWorks here for a month alone. Yeah. Which was fun. Yeah, exploring and, like, but and seeing the different clients, too, and getting to know, I mean, the culture is different, and the client base, and getting into, like, fashion companies, and, like, there's so many just cool companies that we never even, like, envisioned, like, working with, that now you guys are, you know, so it's really cool. And then there's so many different, like, pre-IPO or, you know, huge companies, or, you know, so many different. There's so much different stuff. I feel like New York is just such a great place to, like, have a startup and have a business, because there's everything here, which is, like, part of the reason I don't think I could ever leave. It's like, there's literally everything you could ever want here. It's like the center of the universe. It is. It really is. It's a big apple. I know. It's great, though. Wow. But, feels good. Okay, any other advice for newcomers? I think I would, the one piece of advice that I would give, and it kind of goes back to, like, my methodology, is just, like, have every conversation you can. Like, talk to as many, even if you don't think you're interested in the company, you don't think, whatever, have the conversation, listen to your recruiter. They know what's best. I can't tell you how many times that I've had someone where they're like, oh, that company doesn't really sound interesting to me. And I'm like, I think you'd be best friends with the manager. And then they talk to the manager and they're like, you know what, you're right. I never would have gone with it. It's like, I think it's
at the end of the day, it's
thing.
people.
Exactly.
It's not the company that you're working with.
Exactly. So just have as many conversations as you can.
Yeah.
Meet as many people as you can because it'll come back to you eventually. Someday you'll be interviewing and hiring for a job and that person will come back up.
So true.
Yeah.
I also don't think I mentioned this before, but you have this very non-judgmental approach, which I think it's so interesting. Well, you also have your master's in HR, which I think definitely helps with this. But it's so easy to look at, a resume or, something on paper or whatever that may be and make judgments about it, like without even realizing it and being like, well, that's not going to work, or, oh, we're looking for this many years, or sometimes it's not about the number of years or, you know what I mean? It's like so much more
it's
than
personality. It's everything.
Yeah.
I never look at resumes ever. I look at LinkedIn's, but I just honestly, like, even if I don't think that there could be a job on there, like, as long as I'm getting, like, good energy from that person and, like, they're willing to jump on a call with me, I'll talk to them. I don't care what you're doing, what you've been doing, where you want to go. Like, let's just talk. And you know what? It might not even result in a placement or anything, but at least you met that person. And,
it's like
someday down the road, you can see him again.
And you're building community. It's not just about, like, putting somebody into a job. That's what I don't like about like the recruiting rap. It's so much more than that, and it's building a relationship will never not serve you. Like it's gonna come back.
Yeah, and I feel like also like we may not be able to place them, but I could introduce them to somebody that maybe can place them or something. So even if it's like, I think there's this, like, stigma that, like, we have an agenda when we get on the phone with somebody. I have no agenda. I have no clue what I'm going to say to you, what you're going to be good for.
That's such a good point.
I have no clue what job I'm going to pitch to you, but, like, as the conversation goes, you start to figure out, okay, this person would match really well with this client, or, you know what, maybe it's a personality thing, even if they don't have the experience.
Yeah.
Like, but
just
you never
talk
know.
anyway.
Just talk anyways.
It's sometimes people are like, oh, well, do you have a job for me? It's like, well, I might not right this second, but, like, it could be next week, next month, or in a year. I don't know, but it doesn't hurt to have the conversation.
You never know. Exactly. Just jump on the phone.
Absolutely.
Something's going to come out of it.
Absolutely.
We don't know what.
And it doesn't have to be, like, 20, it can be 5 minutes.
Yeah.
That could be an intro. I know that, personally, I've gotten a lot of just recent referrals just from, like, this really great conversation I had with somebody a year ago. And it's just, like, it just builds from there. Yeah. And that's like, the coolest part about this industry that I didn't know about prior to coming in, and that everything, like, I used to think it was point A to point B, and, and it's like, oh, make them match. And it's, like, it's so 360 degrees that it's just constant, like, relationship, and everything flows from one another. And that's what I really love about it, is, like, the relationship side of it. Exactly. Is like, wow, this person is great. We get along awesome. That person introduced you to somebody else. Like, it's, that makes it really fun.
Yeah, and honestly, that's what I tell clients all the time. They'll be like, where does your pipeline come from? Or how do you how long until you have profiles for me? And I'm like, this is a very organic process. I was talking to someone the other day, and she's like, where do you find your candidates? And I'm like, honestly, LinkedIn, but, like, half the people that I'll be sending you, I know, or someone knows, or Megan goes to yoga with them, or
That's true.
they work in our building. I don't know. Like, they can come from everywhere.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But I think that's what sets us apart, is that, like, we go back and forth a lot of times, like, hearing people talk about, oh, my agency has crazy metrics, and I have to pick up the phone this many times per day, but, like, I know I'm spending sometimes half an hour with somebody on the phone, and you never know what it's going to be good for, but...
It has to feel good, too. I think if you're going to do this long term, you have to... If it was just about metrics and phone calls and hitting numbers, like, that doesn't feel good for me. Like, no. It needs to be so much more than that.
Exactly. I was talking to Megan this morning, and I feel like we said we're getting old, but we were like, we're honestly actually more just like, it's not about the money anymore. It's about making, like, good matches. And like, I've had people call me recently and just been like, this is, like, the best job ever. This is the best move I've ever made. And I'm
so
like, I don't care about the commission. I don't care about any of that. Like,
because
I
you
just
don't
want you to
forget
get the job.
Yeah, you don't forget that, and they don't forget it.
Yeah,
they don't
never.
forget the the experience that they had. Like, and it's all about creating a really positive experience. So when we talk about like, I love hearing like different colleagues and stuff like talking about like just bonding over anything. It could be like yoga or
Anything.
And just hearing that natural, like, organic, fun conversation.
Yeah. And then they trust you and you actually feel like you can be, like, an advisor to them rather than just, like, someone who's, like, trying to make a placement, which is the one thing.
Yes, and you can be yourself.
Exactly.
Which is what I love, because each one of us, I think, brings something a little different and spices up a little bit.
We're so different.
And it's nice because we connect with different people, all equally talented, just different people.
Everyone's different.
So
everyone meshes with different people. Like we might be messaging or reaching out to the same people, and they'll only answer certain people based on just like
we're
what
like, all right,
that's cool. And there you go, you match. So
Well, this is great. I mean, we're definitely continuing to grow. I mean, speaking of diversity and growth, and New York is the perfect place to let that happen. And this has been so much fun. Just always being here.
I love
always
it. You guys
a pleasure.
Come visit me.
Thanks for letting us be in your office.
I love it. It's so much fun.
Well, wishing you all the best in going forward. We're always here for you. And this is awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having
we'll
me.
catch you soon on the next episode. So stay tuned and pop up, queens.
Whoa.